Hey everybody, what's going on? Let's go. You know, the older I get, the more I am so interested in preserving two things. Before I go on, say hi, Kayla. Those two things for me are time and peace. Both of those things are very expensive and hard to come by. And one of them, I'm talking about time, you can never get back. So whether you are young or whether you are old, let me say this to you. When you are in relationship with someone, that could be friendship, that could be an intimate relationship, marriage, whatever, associations, whatever. Your time and your peace are a gift. Don't let nobody waste it. Don't let nobody control it. And if you're one of those people like me, be in mind that you try to protect somebody else's peace and time, that you don't neglect your own. You are valuable. The time you give is valuable. The time you allow people in your presence is valuable. Grab hold to that truth and never sell yourself short. Think about it. I love you. Peace. Say bye, Kayla. Evolution Church, South Florida would like to invite you to worship with us. You can connect via our second Sunday virtual community or meet us in person for our fourth Sunday experience. Both begin at 3 p.m. sharp. Remember, this is the place where we explore, expand, and evolve. See you soon.
Sit on that throne, queen. Know you got that goddess energy. It's in your soul, queen. Manifesting your reality. Say these words with me. I am perfect, well protected. I am so divine.
Because I'm also a therapist, I am not saying to you that what you carry is not a lot and it can't be overwhelming sometimes. Absolutely. It can be. And I encourage you to have some self-care experiences, some self-care time and moments in order to brace yourself, handle yourself, right? But in that bracing and handling, make sure you come to the reality of accepting yourself, accepting your season, accepting who you are, and knowing the capacity of what you can do so that your complaint changes. And you get to the space where you say, okay, if I've got to do it, I'm going to have some joy in the midst of it. My children won't be babies forever. They're going to be teenagers and they can handle certain things on their own. Or there's going to be a new crisis that comes with their teenage experience. I'm not going to be working forever. I'm not going to be going through this situation forever. I'm not going to be in this space where I'm always going to have to struggle with this thing. You should expect that seasons will change.
Can I take a picture? Fight on my wall. Make I take it to Nigeria, Lagos straight to Kenya. See the gift of nature, we go make you love adventure. Yeah, yeah, you know, so you are diva. Beauty brighter than gold and silver.
I'm supposed to say something. God, I know that I'm supposed to do whatever you call me to be in a time such as this. But God, I'm scared. God, I don't know if you're going to be there. I don't know what you're going to do. I don't know what you're going to say. I don't know if anything's going to work out the way that I see it in my head. I see it. I see the vision. I see the plan. I see everything that you want me to do, that you call me to do. But God, I don't see the little steps. I don't see the provision. But God, I ask these questions and I say, Lord, I'm feeling sad? Will you be there when I'm freaking mad? Will you be there when I just can't see my way? I just can't see what's going on day by day. But God, will you be there? Will you be there when I'm short? When I'm short in my finances, when I'm short in everything that gives me the opportunity to be everything that you call me to be. God, I need you. I need you to fix it. I need you to do it. I need you to be. Will you be? Will you be? Will you be? You got to be. Will you be? Will you be? You got to be. Will you be? Will you be? You got to be. Will you be? Will you be? You got to be. Will you be? Will you be? You got to be. And then the Lord says, listen, son, listen. I'll be there when even you don't see me. I'll be there even when you can't trace me. Don't you know that I'm the God of more than enough? Don't you know that I'm God that's holding all of your stuff? When you were down, I lifted you up. When you were sick, I made you whole. I made you well. Even so that you can tell everything that I've done is caused you to be greater than you've ever been. And greater. And I'm still not finished. I'm still not finished with you. And everything concerning you, I'll be there. I'll be there. Don't you dare feel like I'll never be there. I'm always there. Can't you see me? Can't you feel me? I'm in the wind. I'm in the trees. I'm in the person that gave you money even though they didn't even know that you needed it. Can't you see me? Can't you feel me? Can't you touch me? Can you hold me? I'll be there. Yeah, I'll be there. I'll be there. I'll be there. Yeah, I'll be there. I'll be there. And watch this. I'm already there. I'm already there. I'm already there. I'm already there. Yeah. Are you from the South Miami-Dade area and looking for a quality music group to join? Take a look at this.
Hey guys, we're back for life, and I am one of five. I'm Shazetta Morris, and we got all of the other compadres over here, peer relationships, loving all of their participation as it relates to what we are doing in Life Forum. Life Forum represents living your fullest expression, and that's what we aim to do. And so I'm one of the hosts or one of the partners here. We've got Bree Jackson, Bernicia Jackson, Brian Morris, and Adam Watson. And we are continuing in this conversation about accountability. Interestingly enough, we had this pre-show experience, and I actually want to pick up right there because mutuality of male and female gender, speaking again from that accountability perspective, do we feel that in partnership relationships, marriages, partnerships long term, all of that, that it is easy to be accountable to our partners? Whether you're in a relationship now or not is irrelevant. Every one of us have been in a relationship, right? And we talk about accountability to God. And I think that that's easier because we have this, easier in the sense that we understand that there is the spiritual makeup. We align ourselves with God made us. So of course we got to be, accountable to God. We are responsible for what he has put in us, the seed that he has placed in us. We are a gift that he planted into the earth. He wants returned. We get that. we have more issues with the accountability on the lateral level.
Mhm.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Our neighbors, ourselves, our neighbors, ourselves. And so ourselves individually, then our neighbors, they include partnerships, social constructs, our children, our peers at work, all of that. But particularly tonight, for the sake of these next 20 to 25 minutes, I want to talk about how we feel about accountability in the aspect of relationships that are connected through this love base, marriages, boyfriends, girlfriends. Somebody told me today, listen, I'm too old to be having a boyfriend. I said, well, call him what you like. I mean, do you see him every day? What are we doing? You know,
Where are we
whatever that
going?
looks right. Like, I'm too old to be calling somebody my boyfriend. Well, what else are we gonna call them? Whatever you see that as, right? Do you think that partnerships, marriages struggle with accountability? And if
I believe
whatever
they
your answer, give me your why. So Bernice, it sounds like you got more for us tonight.
sorry. Um, I think that in any form of accountability is a process. I feel like it's a struggle in any level. Like even when you starting a new job and you don't know your boss like that, and they're saying like a lot of bosses nowadays are like, here, this is my cell phone. Just call me if you're gonna be late, or you can just text me and let me know about X, Y, and Z. And some people are like, let's give an example for a person that might be socially awkward. So it's like, okay, it might be hard for them to reach out. So it takes a while to build that trust and that rapport with that new person that you just starting a relationship with. You know, they're like these are their requirements, but it's a process for that adjustment. I feel like it's like that in relationships as well. You starting to it's for a person that like me that's been single for a long that was single for a long time, and now I'm in this new relationship. Whereas though I feel like, and I went through that with my son's dad. Like I was used to doing a whole bunch of stuff by myself. I don't ask nobody. Oh, he had a car. He was like, "What are you doing?" I could have took you to the market. Like the bus is still working for me. So it's like, and I'm just using that as an example, but it's hard to make it's hard to make that adjustment. To like actually having somebody to lean on and to be able to say, okay, um, I need you to do X, Y, and Z. And it's like, okay, I didn't have this before, but I feel like it's a process on all levels to learn like, okay, you're supposed to talk to X, Y, and Z first before you do that. And I feel like that's the same across the board. That's just me. In whatever angle it is. It comes with time and relationship.
Mm.
There are some females, God bless your heart, when y'all find a man y'all can depend on, y'all ain't doing nothing that
Babe,
y'all used to
man.
have to do by yourselves. I've
Hear
seen,
me saying they.
huh?
I say, yeah, you hear me agreeing saying they, because it ain't me.
Listen, just I'm telling you, I've seen women who could do everything on their own. And the moment they knew they had a dude who wasn't going nowhere, babe, can you go put gas in the car? Babe, can you go get my oil change? Babe, go, like basically go deal and go, let's switch in every situation where I had to deal with a male, all that's on you now. And I find it so hilarious. I to watch, I literally watched my sister, my god sister, who told me for 20 years, I don't need a man for this, I don't need a man for that. I watched her go helpless over groceries. Y'all know what I mean by helpless.
Mm-hmm.
It's been such a hard day. Can you help me get these bags out to and I'm like,
Well, I guess
now
it's a question, but my question is, okay, so from that responsibility space or the shifting, moving from significant independence
mhm.
to this place of dependence, do you guys think that that's a bad thing?
not necessarily, but if I can enact for y'all, I'm on the phone with her, and she's like, I'm blah 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 blah. He in the door. Hold on. Hey, babe, can you help me? Oh no, you were strong like 13 and a half seconds ago. So that's what I'm talking about. Now, to answer your question, I think that it's hard enough finding a woman submitting to a new trusted source. I think that is a challenge in and of itself, because they have to first purge their heart, their mind, their mannerisms, their thinking, and their responses from the previous versions and images that they chose to yield to, but weren't safe places. And so you'll see, like, for instance, one of the things that Bernicia brought up about the job, when she brought up the thing about the job, it hit me. In a lot of situations in our lives, accountability is not a heart issue. It's a cerebral issue. It's an analysis issue. I need to yield to you because you're my boss. I need to yield to you because if I don't, like, there will be some sort of consequences. But what about the accountability part that says, I'm going to yield because in my yielding comes my protection. In my yielding becomes my safety. If have you ever seen a woman disrespected in a public place and a man went to defend her, but she wouldn't let him? She kept getting in the way, kept getting in the way, kept getting in the way. It's like, I'm trying to address this issue. Why? Because as your man, I don't think you need to anymore. This gentleman needs to know somebody's standing for you. Why do I feel God on that? Somebody is standing for you. And so that I know now. And so there's no need to fight on your own. That's an amazing situation. And I'm shutting up. This is an amazing situation, because most women in their relationship with God, they know how to lean back and let the Lord fight their battles. But when they got to yield to another dude to do it, now all of a sudden he's like, they don't run. My wife knows the name of her husband is a strong tower also. And she can run in and find safety. You know what I mean? To the point, oh my goodness, to the point, my brothers, you have to understand, if your wife or your woman trusts you implicitly, they may not tell you right away if they get disrespected, because they fear your response. And that is one of the things that I believe we clash, because sometimes we act like we don't know each other.
Wow, I think that kind of that last statement right there speaks to what Bernicia was talking about, that it is, what was your word? Was it progress, or it is accountability is a process?
A process.
Yeah, because we don't get to the point where we know each other, and that could function in a whole bunch of different ways. We're in a space generationally, right, that we have females with hyper independence. Then we also have the other angle, right, where we have men who could be not so into this space of, I have to do it all, I have to have provision, and they're looking like, okay, well, I don't have to take care of everything for you. You can, I want an independent woman, or we can do this equally together, but it is not this, woman, shut up, just let me talk, or I got the bills and you just handle the house scenario, those dynamics are changing. And so with those changes, do we think accountability is changing?
Well, Shez, before you do that, I have a question. When you said hyper dependence, hyper independence,
Yes.
is hyper independence and extreme independence, are they the same?
It can be, because that hyper independence is driven by an anxiety. When I have been exposed in a space that I have been so used to not being protected, even you looking safe and being kind and, you know, being offering help will still make it difficult for me or another of one of my sisters to say, hey, I'm gonna lay it all down. Because as much as I'm asking for help, it is very difficult to let go of my anxiety about what happens if you disappoint me, even one time.
So,
Even one time. That's an anxiety, and people don't understand how much of an anxiety it is. So I'm woman, hear me roar. I'm this, I'm that. You know, there are certain words that go over our lives, and we can get stuck there if we're not careful. One of them, my godmother, she used to say to me and my sisters, do you guys know that you're Amazon women? Look at your mom. She has beasted and done all of these things and gone through these spaces and yeah, 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 yeah. And by the time, probably maybe 15 years ago, 10 years ago, I finally said to myself, why am I so happy with that being the statement over my life? It makes it difficult for me. It made it difficult for me to be able to lean into my husband who says, I just want to help you. And I'm looking at him saying, like, what?
okay, now
Anxiety.
that a question for you. As that woman, right?
Uh-huh.
Because your man's not going to fight with you on this, right? So he's
No.
like, lean into me,
Mm-hmm.
or you can handle this on your own.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So when you don't lean in
Mm-hmm.
and he pulls back and
Mm-hmm.
he's like, all right, you got it until it, not in an evil way, just go ahead. You want to handle this on your own. How do you feel? Do you feel offended? Do you feel abandoned if he says you wanted it, you got it? Like I'm not what he said to you, because he just let you go ahead and do it. But while you're having this whole warfare, thinking about, are you actually going to go ask him for help, or you don't need him? Like, what's that? What are those dynamics? What are those dynamics?
Well, those dynamics, listen, I'll tell you for me what those dynamics are. Now, remember, I said that whole hyper independence is driven by anxiety. So when he steps back and says, okay, and then walks off and does something else, I want to grab him because I'm like, okay, you're rejecting me, but I don't. He does exactly what I just asked him to do, but he did not register that that's not what I wanted him to do. And then I blame him for doing what I have asked him to do. And that is driven by anxiety. It puts us in a whole space of rejection. And we sit up here and say, but he should have known. Like, girl, he ain't read your mind.
And
He
every man says that's
himself
crazy. Every man calls that,
Yeah.
like we all call that. It always comes off as crazy because it's like, I don't want to fight with you. I'm just giving you what you wanted. And so in that space, sir, in that space, knowing both sides, right? Do you, like, you're walking away because she said she got it, and yet you're making sure that you don't get bitter or upset, so when she finally says she got it, you can come back? Because if I suck at anything, y'all, I suck at offering my help and it gets rejected, and then I lean back in patient satisfaction, waiting for failure. And then when it comes to pass, then though I don't speak it out my mouth, my whole mannerisms are, You should have listened. The Lord is still working with me. Praise Jesus.
Adam,
So,
okay, so wait, so pause there because that was very petty. Let me just affirm that. Very. However, here's the thing. If you're asking Brian, I'm going to speak as Brian from my perspective.
okay.
Brian needs to let me do what I have asked him to do. Here's why. Because my anxiety is driving me to the point where I am now being stubborn. And the only way to change that in me is I've got to be aware of myself enough to finally say, I don't have to be in this space, but I'm choosing to be. So he's going to honor what I've said. I'm going to feel rejected. And then I'm going to get introspective and say, Shazetta, why did you do that to yourself? You know better. You have awareness, you have profession, you understand this space, but when I am in the space that I don't want to be rejected, my pain speaks louder than everything that I know logically. So here's the thing: we're dealing with the behavior, but our men of God in this reality of dealing with your partners and accountability, my suggestion is to deal with the anxiety. Are you feeling stressed? Why are you doing this? This is too much, and you know it is. You ain't got to do this by yourself. Why is that anxiety driving you, girl? You ain't got to do that. Because ultimately the reality is that we want to be in a safe space, right? We deal with the anxiety. Come on, breathe with me. Come on, take my hand and breathe with me. When Brian makes me be still, I'll be sitting up there like, and I tell you right now, the Holy Spirit has to be on this kick with him because every time I think about him, I'm just sending him word. Because my challenge is I'm very vocal and I'm not very vocal, all in the same breath. Your gift can be your curse if you let it be.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So in order to work through that space, because I have a history where dependence on another person was very difficult for me, and that is probably going to be the thorn in my side, right? The thing that is the hollow in my thigh. Yeah, it's going to be that thing. And God sends you the right person. He allows the right person to come into your space to work that out. But the person that's coming to help work it out with you doesn't know the severity of it like you. So it's important that you get yourself together and know yourself enough to stop fighting what the other person doesn't know, but you know. That's where I get twisted, right? I get twisted with myself because I know I got an anxiety around that. Nah, this dude look twisted. I'm getting ready. I ain't gonna leave him, but I'm gonna be mad at him. For what?
Okay, now that's
For what,
you
sis? For what?
but that's you like explaining you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, Pastor, when you first come into you're getting to know all of the wavelengths of your wife, fiance, wife, all that stuff. I know you from like some of the conversations we had. You don't take a lot off of nobody. So when you get into a place and now you're in relationship, how? I guess we're here because we're trying to figure out, okay, now we're all in relationships and we're all supposed to be accountable. How do we balance that, right?
I don't take a lot out of most people, but I do take a lot from her. I do. I think it's my love for her that makes me have patience with her.
Yeah.
So I think one thing that I realized, the first thing that I had to understand, which was I didn't let the brute force of my masculinity determine how I was going to handle her because I knew that she couldn't be manhandled.
Okay. That's good.
And she shouldn't be manhandled. Um, she already has been through a lot. So me trying to usurp her in areas did not make sense. It would do more damage than it would assistance. She had to learn for herself that I was here rather than me demanding for her to know that I was here.
Wow.
So
Okay.
I had to give room. So while giving the freedom of her to understand that she doesn't have to do it by herself, I also have to give her the freedom in the room to be able to make mistakes so she can understand that she doesn't have to do it by herself.
Okay.
Because
I
some
have a
things
question
won't get
since you-
because some things won't get learned unless there's a mistake that happens. So a lot of times if there's something that I feel like, okay, well, you shouldn't do this by yourself. If it doesn't, if she goes and does it, if she feels like she has to, I was like, okay, and I'll wait. And if I've been watching her well enough, because I tell guys this all the time too, specifically. I'm like, when they say, well, I don't understand women, I'm like, well, God never told you to understand women. God wanted you to understand your woman.
Mm-hmm.
Got to understand her. So like, okay, well, I know she's going to do this. I know she's going to do that. I know she's going to think like this with this situation happening. It might not work like this, so now I got to figure out exactly how she's going to handle this situation. She'll come back to me later on. But I know I don't say it because of the fact that there's some level of pride there. So I can't tell her I told you so because then she won't talk to me.
Okay. Okay. So now, Pastor Brian, I'm going to ask this question, but I'm going to ask the question to the whole crew because you just put something on me. I'm sorry. This is not my show. I'm just asking a question. You said the brute force of my masculinity. Okay, so we know that could be dangerous. Like when, but is masculinity, period, not the brute force of it, but as a definition, is masculinity, can masculinity be considered a threat?
It depends on who it is.
Hmm.
It depends on who it is.
Or who's using it? Because are you asking if masculinity in its design a threat, or are you asking about men who are masculine?
I'm asking for the definition, as the definition of masculinity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can it be received as a threat? If the masculinity is coming from a man, or if it's being defined as a woman, because we know that both genders can exhibit masculinity.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to figure out, is there a way that we can define this and navigate it so that it's not, so that in its general space, it's not considered a threat? Because once he said that, the brute force of my masculinity, the only people who would ever experience that is another man.
Mm.
But if a female senses basic masculinity as brute force, then she'll respond a different way. It's been my history. So
I think that's important to say, because again, it goes back to the idea of what is driving it, right? So if we look at masculinity in its basic form, it is an energy and it exudes from every person in different ways, right? But if I've got an anxiety based off of a maladaptive history, negative history, that causes me now to be very sensitive to new aspects or new energy coming in the form of a male towards me, then I might see an extra area or an extra edge as a threat. Yeah. Not because of the person in front of me, but because of the history that precedes me that I see when I see them. Mm-hmm. So it requires a healing. Anxiety is driving us. Now, I'll explain it in this way. When my husband met me, he met me in a robe. Mm-hmm. I was preaching, right? Listen, our first stomping ground was St. Mark, and then our next date was the church. Our first date was a church service. Lord, this church man right here.
We've been bowling afterwards.
And so, yeah,
But
so
it started at the church.
right, it started. Good Lord. So it that whole design of being in that space, Brian has always to me been a mild-tempered man
Okay.
until
And
I always tell people, y'all get fooled by this pasty smile, but this dude, this dude, this is a fighting dude right here. He's got a whole bunch with him. I think over time, as I learned him, his patience in walking with me made him and masculinity for me less threatening. Because for me, patriarchy was an issue, and patriarchy was always represented
that's powerful.
through masculine or males.
Powerful.
For me, those two things were the same. They sounded a certain way. Remember, I kept saying I was doing women's liberation in the pulpit.
Yes.
That was always like any system that I went to, Breonna Jackson, I was proving that I was better than men. Unconsciously, it was an anxiety there because my father left. A hole in your soul can grow with you for years. And if you never target it, you never know why you do some of the things that you do. So I can honestly say I probably, every time I get somewhere, I thank God for Brian because, I am his prize. I am. But I get to have all kinds of space because of him. And I know that most men could not deal with that in me. So at year 16, I'm like, babe, I'm going to the store. Babe, I'm doing this. First 5 years, I was just walking out the door. Listen, look at him. Listen, Brian would still be in the bathroom getting ready for something. And if I was driving and he wasn't ready on my time, I'd pull off. Terrible. Terrible now.
Lord.
That whole idea of being accountable to someone who actually loves you after you've had so much damage, it can be debilitating, not to only the person that experiences it, but the person who was trying to love you regardless of it. But we are foolish in not having enough awareness in ourselves to say, I got this drama. Instead, we continue to mask so that the other person does not see that we've got fractures. But I say, tell the truth. When it comes on my heart, babe, I miss you. I send them a message. Now, there was a day that I'm not telling him that. Vulnerability? Nope. Nope. Nada. Babe, you miss me today? Nope. Listen, he said right here. I a lot of things healing through, and maybe he did not know that God was using him to do this. He probably didn't even understand all of the spaces, but what he had as a core value that he still has is patience. And it has blessed me because I needed the room to come full circle and say, you know what, I'm stressing myself and I'm not by myself no more. Why am I still living like I'm by myself?
So you're holding a baby, and when you're holding a baby, you have them in two different states, the state of nurture and the state of control.
Right.
Is it how basic? I don't want to say that. I don't want anybody to feel offended. How do we define it when in our adult stages, in our older stages, where we see someone bringing nurture, and we consider it control?
Well, that's a threat too. I'll say this and then I'm gonna stop here because I want my single sisters to pipe in here because y'all hearing a lot of information, right?
I was certainly about to ask Bree, is her lack of accountability the reason why she's single?
Why? Why would you do it on the screen? Well, first of all, pause
We're
there.
not single,
right?
is she?
Single.
Right.
We're not single.
Pause there. No, she's not single, but I'm gonna let her answer herself. I'm gonna let her answer or respond in her specific way.
Now ask me that. It's like,
The
You
reality of this,
already said so.
right? She did. But that when somebody, so we have to be able to identify who is amongst us, but it doesn't mean that we won't always fight.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Right. And Kayla knows that I love her, but her strong nature to defend herself due to her how she experiences autism. She knows that I love her, but she immediately gets on guard when I hug her. Now she's been with me 8 years. Sometimes it's just innate in individuals. And so until we come into a revelation of the person that we're with, sometimes it can be difficult. We've got to come into that revelation ourselves. Then our partners are left to say, can I contend with this? Do I want to contend with this?
Right.
Because it's not just well, you just be patient with me. No, do they want to contend with that?
Yeah.
They get the choice too.
That's strong.
Yeah. So Bree, since the spark came out, I'll pull that. Let you respond to this man of God who's trying to call you out from the corner.
Adam, come for me.
You were awfully quiet.
Oh, was I, or was the mic just on mute?
No, you were quiet.
The mic was mute. Okay.
Everybody spoke except you. So I just thought, let me throw you under the bus and roll you right up under there.
No bus thrown, because I'm driving it. I am not single.
Tired.
I think that everybody has a lack of accountability in some way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, I can resonate with Apostle. That's my first time saying that. It's kind of weird.
It is.
Yeah,
and you don't
like,
have to say it. You're
I
not
can
stuck there.
resonate with Coach She on what she said as far as the whole anxiety thing and with masculinity and not, being afraid of it or not being able to trust it, and like the whole vulnerability thing. Like, I am very in and out with that. Like, yes, sometimes I don't have a problem with telling my man I miss him, and a lot of other times I'm like, I'm not gonna tell him that. Like, for what? Like, he should. And it's the other thing about her saying, like, she would tell Pastor B like what she want, but then he'll do exactly what she said. But it's like, I don't want that. I wanted you to do complete opposite. Like, I'm like that on a lot of levels. So I would just say that I don't know if I would want to say that freed me. It helped me to put some things into perspective. Because I can't necessarily say that I'm free from it because I haven't been able to implement any of that as of yet, because I just found out a few minutes ago.
Shots fired.
Yeah, that was great. I was honestly sitting here just soaking it all up. I was just a bright sponge, a quiet sponge. I'm sorry.
Well, sitting here, sis, listening to it, right? Does the thought process of all of the different sides of relationships to you and Bernicia, the thought process of knowing what future relationships are going to bring to y'all, is the empowerment of knowing that you're getting the wisdom of it more of a place to push you towards it, or just the having to deal with the reality of what might be dramatic or whatever kind of makes you shy away from it? Are y'all kind of neutral in that space?
I would be honest in saying it pushes me toward it. Like, I absolutely love Shazetta and Brian together. And even my previous pastors, I love them together too. I've always told people that if all men in the world cheat, like, those are the only two men I know in this world don't cheat, because they're just such great people. So, I know it's so crazy, but I'm just saying, like, they're really great role models as far as marriage, relationship, companionship, community, whatever the case may be. So I would say for me personally, it pushes me towards it because a lot of things that they have been through or have worked through are things that I'm actually trying to work through right now within my relationship. So it's like it, helps me to understand that there is light at the end of the tunnel and that hyper independence doesn't always have to be there. And if anything, it helps me to give more grace where needed because I don't be want to pass out grace. I do not like to pass out grace. And it's so bad because I need so much of it because I have so much trauma that I have not dealt with. And the same way that Coach is saying that Brian has been so patient, like it brings me to tears whenever I think about how patient my boyfriend is with me. But I'm I'm terrible. I was
You're
and
not
I'm only
terrible.
saying
You're
that, no, I'm
growing.
not terrible. The other day he joked with me and it was funny, but it stuck with me all day because when I woke up, he's talking to me and he was like, "You sound so sweet in the morning." He said, "But as the day goes on."
So you're not sweeter as the day goes by.
He was just saying as the day goes on, he was like, the sweetness
The more
just
you
comes
wake
down
up.
and down. And I'm just like, dang, that's so true.
But is that for everybody though? Is that you with everybody or is that you with him?
Um, I don't know if it's for everybody. I'll be honest in saying that because nobody has ever been as honest with me about that. Like he was saying it as a joke, but there's always some truth in the jokes that we make, right? So I'm just like, as I sat there and thought about it all day, I'm like, dang, I do get kind of mean throughout the day because if you think about it throughout the day, you start to deal with things. And I'm the type of person that if something bothers me and I don't deal with it, everything continues to pile on top of it. So by the end of the day, I'm irritated, aggravated, don't talk to me, don't look at me, nothing. Like, so I'm just like, dang, like I didn't even realize that about myself. Because nobody's ever really brought it to the forefront, but he said it as a joke, he said it with love. And it's like we've been together almost 2 years, and it's like, so you've been dealing with this for these couple of years, and this is the first time you done said it. And I'm just like, dang. Okay.
Pause there for a second because I think that this is a good moment to just kind of consider this space. And for us here, you know what I'm getting ready to do? I'm getting ready to press pause there. But what I love about this particular experience is that it proves the idea of accountability,
Yes.
mutuality in accountability. So great anchoring, Adam. That was really cool because we walked right into this next viral moment that we're gonna have when we put Bree's video out saying that she's so terrible. Please highlight that video. I want to see it. But the proof of that whole mutuality is that when we're in that type of accountability in those relationships, we should be able to tell each other the truth and it be received to that degree because we observe it. I used to fight with my husband all the time, like he didn't know he didn't live with me. I'm like, what? Sweetheart, I see you. I see you. You are exhausted. You're tired. I see you. I've been with you. How long? Listen, the funny stuff we used to go through as it relates to that, but the reality is that accountability, going back to Bernicia's statement, is a process. We're gonna stop here because we gotta expand this conversation. While we dealt with coupling spaces, we're gonna deal with relationships, and I think I want somebody else to anchor that. I may not even be on for that segment, but I think it's gonna be hot.
Oh no, ma'am, you don't get out of it.
I don't get out of it. I
No.
be trying. Listen, the saints will tell you I be trying to get because I like to push it
Trying
back
to
at other people. But we're gonna jump in on that conversation next go round. So listen, chat up, let us know how you feel about the statements, comments. If you don't agree, we want to hear that too, because this is not about agreeing, it's about conversation that allows us to expand ourselves. And so look at these phenomenal people. You will see them again in another segment of Life Forum. Have a wonderful night. Take care.